And now, ladies and gentlemen, from the heart of the Inland Empire, right here in sunny Southern California, it's Robert Cardoza Live, where we talk about politics, money, and you. This is the intersection of business and politics. And now here's your host, Robert Cardoza.
And welcome aboard. I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to the intersection of business and politics right here on Robert Cardoza Live, where I do an honest, unbiased analysis of the issues confronting you today that affect the decisions that you're going to make for both your personal and your business life. I come to you every Monday through Friday on Spreaker Radio, Roar 1776 Radio, and MyCast Live Radio from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Also on 405 Media Radio, Monday through Friday from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. Pacific Time. And on the Pundit Press, PNN Talk Radio, and SHR Media Radio with the Conservative Syndicate Mondays and Fridays from 3:30 to 4 p.m. Pacific Time, in addition to countless terrestrial stations worldwide. Please follow me on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Google+, Podomatic, and YouTube, where you can listen to all of my shows 24/7. Go to my website at www.robertcardozalive.com for archives of all my radio and television shows. You can also access my show live right from my website each day, simply by clicking on that little icon labeled Listen Live. Email me at robertcardozalive@gmail.com. Is where you get all the emails I deal with here on the show. And you can call into my show if you want to comment or just engage me in conversation about anything. Dial directly into the studio at 909-545-6516. Again, that number, 909-545-6516. Well, on today's show, we're going to discuss what's in the news, new legislation the IRS loses, and I'm going to answer your emails just like I always do. On today's show, our special segment is going to be with Sean LaFave, and he's going to continue his series, Geared for Wellness. Today, we're going to be talking about politics, and you know what? We're going to get deep into it. You're going to love it. I'm going to love it. You know, Sean is just a very intelligent, articulate man, and he can talk just about anything. And so, we're anxious to get with Sean and see what he has to say and what he feels about what's going on in the world today. But right now, I want you to stand by for news. But before that, you need to know that at 3:03 p.m. Pacific Time, it is currently 83 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. That's on its way down to 53 degrees. You know, I keep saying winter has arrived. Well, 83 degrees, and that's a beautiful winter, isn't it? Yeah. Well, let's get right into the news. Let me talk about the abbreviated things first. The 10 things that you need to know for today, Thursday, your daily look at late-breaking news, upcoming events, and the stories that will be talked about all day today and tomorrow. And right off the top, French SWAT team raids suburban apartment, killing 2. The raid targets the suspected planner of the Paris attacks, 27-year-old Amdolmed Abaoud, but his fate remains unclear after an hours-long siege. Well, it's not unclear anymore. We know that he is one of the people that was killed in the siege that took place. We'll talk more about that a little bit later. And Obama threatens to veto a stricter refugee rules. The legislation chiefly targeting refugees from Syria and Iraq would provide no meaningful additional security for the American people, the White House says. Well, we do know that the legislature passed it with a big majority going on, although Obama is expected to veto that bill. And we'll talk more about that, too. Extremists offer proof of airborne attack. The Islamic State group releases a photo of a bomb hidden in a soft drink can that it says brought down a Russian passenger jet over Egypt last month. And WADA shuts down Russian anti-doping agency. The vote by the World Anti-Doping Agency comes as key figures in the anti-doping movement call for banning the Russian track team from next year's Olympics because of the scandal. And ex-Subway pitchman set for sentencing. Jared Fogel's lawyers are seeking a 5-year prison term in the child porn and sex crimes case. Prosecutors want 12 and a half years. Well, what might speed date when white population in the U.S. falls below 50%? Well, the Census Bureau is considering changes to its race and ethnicity questions that would reclassify some minorities who were considered white in the past. Well, United States government retiring last research chimps. It's time to say we've reached the point in the United States where invasive research on chimpanzees is no longer something that makes sense, says Dr. Francis Collins, director of the National Institutes of Health. And which toys to cross off your Christmas list? Well, dinosaur claws inspired by the movie Jurassic World and a quick folding trampoline are among the items on a consumer watchdog group's annual list of hazardous toys. Well, fresh hope for people with voice disorders. Researchers grow human vocal cords in the laboratory that appear capable of producing sound. Wow, isn't that something? And then finally, who won baseball's arms race? Well, this season's Cy Young recipients are the Cubs' Jake Arrieta in the National League and Astros' lefty Dallas Keuchel in the American League. So, there it is, right on time. Now, let's do a little bit more in-depth going on here. The House votes to curb Syrian refugees snubbing a veto threat. Responding swiftly to the terror in Paris, the United States House voted overwhelmingly today to erect high hurdles for Syrian and Iraqi refugees coming to American shores, dividing the president's own party as lawmakers reflected the anxiety of voters back home. The vote was 289 to 137, enough to override a threatened White House veto of the legislation, which was hurriedly drafted under new House Speaker Paul Ryan in response to the carnage in the streets of Paris. 47 Democrats voted for the bill despite President Barack Obama's biting criticism of its proposed limits. The bill would require new FBI background checks and individual sign-offs from 3 high-ranking U.S. officials before any refugee could come to the United States from Iraq or Syria, where the Islamic State group that has claimed credit for the attacks has flourished. Republicans said it was simply prudent to place new controls on the refugee system without ending it entirely or requiring religious tests, as some of in the GOP, including presidential candidates, have demanded. You know what? Let's see what happens. It doesn't sound like that bad a deal to me. Wouldn't you rather be careful than hurt? That's what I think. Well, Syrian refugees are put through years of screening. Over and over, Nadal Al-Hayak and his wife traveled up to 3 hours by bus from their temporary home in Jordan to an office where U.S. Homeland Security officials put them in separate rooms and asked them many questions in many different ways. Where were you born? Where were your parents born? Were you part of a rebel group? Were you politically outspoken? Finally, nearly 3 years after the Syrian couple fled their war-ravaged homeland, they and their 2 young children arrived in the Detroit suburb of Bloomfield Hills, ready to start a promising new life in a new country. I came here to succeed and have a quality of life, not to be a hindrance to the government and the citizens of America, the 28-year-old Al-Hayak said through a translator. He is working at a factory and studying English with hopes of pursuing the agricultural engineering degree that he started in Syria. Even if I need to start over, then I'll just start over. As some governors, lawmakers, and presidential candidates vow to block the resettlement of more Syrian refugees in the U.S. for fear that terrorists will slip into the country and carry out Paris-style attacks, those who have made it here describe an arduous screening process that they would not have undergone if they didn't want to make America their permanent home. Now, don't go away. When we come back, I've got more fast-breaking news for you. After the attacks, many Parisians embrace food, wine, and friends. I'll talk to you all about that right after these brief messages. Do not go away.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. Nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Leinberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchase high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. And we're talking news. You know, after the attacks, many Parisians embrace food, wine, and friends. In France, a glass of wine is many things. One of life's small pleasures, a civilized complement to food, a source of national pride. Now, it's also a symbol of defiance. As vintners release this year's batch of Beaujolais Nouveau in the shadow of last week's Paris attacks, to the bistro has replaced to the barricades as France's rallying cry. What would our country be without its cafes? Well, asked President Francois Hollande, telling his compatriots that life must be resumed in full after the November 13th gun and bomb rampage by jihadi militants. The attacks, which killed 129 people and injured more than 350, have left France in shock. They overshadowed Thursday's Beaujolais Nouveau Day, when winemakers uncork their latest batch of the fruity young wine, and bars and restaurants hold special tasting sessions. Jean Bourget of the wine producers' body Inter Beaujolais said the group considered scrapping some of the promotional events after the attacks, but it was decided that the wine should flow because it is the French culture, it is the French way of life which has been put in jeopardy. Many Parisians are determined to raise a glass, even those who consider Beaujolais Nouveau's popularity a product of savvy marketing rather than quality. The Beaujolais isn't good wine, but everyone will go out on purpose tonight, said 63-year-old Lucien Tavera, sitting with two friends on a cafe terrace near the Bataclan concert hall where the deadliest of the attacks unfolded. Tonight, we won't care how it tastes. Her resolve is echoed across the patch of eastern Paris where the attacks took place. The 11th arrondissement and the neighboring Canal Saint-Martin area in the 10th. After 8 p.m., about 100 young people were out in the rain at the Place de la République, a central square in one of the neighborhoods and a home to several candlelit memorials to the victims. Cafes and restaurants in the area were about half full. You know what? Good for them. Don't let anybody change your life. You live in a free country. If you want to keep it free, you can't let people take that freedom away from you. If it's dangerous, you just have to be more careful and hope that the people that represent you will go out there and protect you. And a woman who died in Paris raid had been under surveillance. Hasna Antiboulachen lived in a secular life, drinking alcohol and rarely visiting a mosque, but police say she died an extremist's death, blowing herself up by detonating a suicide vest. The 26-year-old daughter of a Moroccan immigrant had been under police surveillance because her name came up in a drug trafficking case, said a police union official, speaking on condition of anonymity because he wasn't authorized to talk to media. So, and Boldechin died Wednesday as police closed in on an apartment in suburban Saint-Denis, along with Abul Malid Aboud, the man suspected of orchestrating the November 13th attacks across Paris that killed 129 people. It was not known if she had any role in the attacks. Also unclear is her exact connection to the 28-year-old Aboud, the son of a Moroccan-born shopkeeper in Brussels. 3 police officials said Boldechin often described herself as his cousin, but the term also is used by young French of North African descent to refer to close friends who are no blood relation. Her final moments were marked by a brief, angry exchange with police during the siege. You know, I'm not going to talk anymore about her. I just don't think that's the right thing to do. How about this? West Bank attack victim was recent graduate of a United States school. You know what? A U.S. school has identified a recent graduate visiting Israel as among 3 people killed in an attack in the West Bank. The Maimonides School in Brookline, Massachusetts, said today the school community is profoundly saddened and mourns the death of 18-year-old Ezra Schwartz, who graduated this year. Head of school Natty Katz says Schwartz was studying in Israel. Schwartz was from Sharon, Massachusetts. The Israeli military says Schwartz and 2 other people were killed Thursday by a Palestinian motorist who intentionally rammed his vehicle into a group of into a group of pedestrians south of Jerusalem. The military says soldiers shot at the attacker. 2 Israelis died in an earlier attack in Tel Aviv. The attacks were part of a wave of violence that began in September over tensions surrounding a Jerusalem holy site sacred to Jews and Muslims. Well, Ben Carson, refugee program must screen for mad dogs. Republican presidential candidate Ben Carson said today that blocking potential terrorists posing as Syrian refugees from entering the United States is akin to handling a rabid dog. At a campaign stop in Alabama, Carson said, halting Syrian resettlement in the United States doesn't mean America lacks compassion. If there's a rabid dog running around in your neighborhood, you're probably not going to assume something good about that dog, Carson said. It doesn't mean that you hate all dogs, but you're putting your intellect into motion. Carson said that to protect my children, he would call the Humane Society and hopefully they can come take this dog away and create a safe environment once again. He continued, by the same token, we have to have in place screening mechanisms that allow us to determine who the mad dogs are. Quite frankly, who are the people who want to come in here and hurt us and want to destroy us? You know what? It just never ends, does it? No, it really doesn't. Now, do not go away, because when we come back, I'm going to deal with the IRS loses. I'd rather deal with that than to give any more publicity or airtime to these terrorists, these thugs, these animals that just hate humanity in general. We'll be right back after these brief messages. Don't go away.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And Let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful and visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make the interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
The story you are about to see is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Okay, here we are, my favorite part of the show, the IRS loses. I got a couple of good cases here for you, and I think you'll enjoy them. First up is payment to a departing business owner is tax-free damages. Here's the story. Charles Wright, a minority owner in a business or a company that he helped found, had a dispute with his fellow owners and left the firm, taking a large negotiated settlement. More than a $1.2 million of it was for personal injury that Wright treated as being tax-free. But the IRS said that this description was a tax ploy that never would have been sustained in a trial and taxed the funds. So he went to court. This is what the judge said. Wright had suffered real emotional injury caused by his partners. His settlement was negotiated at arm's length, and it included large taxable payments for other items. All this indicates that the allocation to personal injury was made in good faith, so it's upheld and the IRS loses. You know what? They just keep trying to break their own rules, you know. You try it, they're going to throw away the key. They try it, and they just, give it a shot, right? How about this? The IRS loses. Playing slots qualifies as a business. Oh, yeah. Things are starting to get fun, right? Listen to this. Linda Myers had a full-time job, but also spent 40 hours a week playing casino slot machines. She lost money and deducted her losses as a business expense, but the IRS denied her deduction, saying playing slots is not a business. So, off to tax court Miss Myers went to get some satisfaction. This is what the judge said. Myers spent full-time hours gambling and had a record of her activity through her casino card, had a system of watching machines to determine which were most likely to pay off, modified the system in light of results, and had hit enough jackpots to show that it was possible for her to actually have a profit. All this indicated that she had a profit motive, so her gambling was a business, and her losses? Yeah, you got it. Deductible, absolutely. That's exactly what you'd expect and exactly what you'd want. Just makes sense. So the next time that you're in Vegas, you know what? Make it a business, guys. Well, you've heard me talk about being a fly on the wall when the IRS is doing stuff. Well, that's where we're at now in this segment we call Inside the IRS. Okay, so these are not tax court cases, but these are cases where you actually, you can use these to your benefit because it's precedents that the IRS has actually set down by their own actions most of the time. So let's just get right into the first one. Here's the thing. Can you claim additional damages to compensate for the income taxes that you are required to pay on a damage award that you receive? Well, what do you think? Here's a scenario. Suppose you sue for damages for lost profits. Say you worked overtime and were not paid for the extra hours, for instance, and you win. Now, the lost profits award is taxable, so you argue that you should also receive enough to cover the tax hit. The losing party will argue that you would have paid income tax on the profits anyway, so you're not entitled to the extra damages. Now, there is no easy answers to this thing. This is an emerging area in civil law. State law varies, and the nature of the damages will control whether you are permitted to ask for the extra tax damages. Best advice I can give you? Discuss this with your attorney before initiating the lawsuit, so that when you do sue, you sue for the whole thing. You don't try and do it in two parts. That's the big mistake that a lot of people make. How about this? Let's just say you were audited and the IRS wants to reopen your case. Sounds unfair, doesn't it? Well, you know, only in very unusual circumstances will the IRS attempt to re-audit an individual or a business after a case has actually been closed. To reopen a closed case, the IRS must show that there was fraud, malfeasance, concealment, or misrepresentation of a material fact on your part, or an important mistake in mathematical calculations. How should you proceed if the IRS wants to reopen your case? Don't agree to submit to another audit until the IRS provides you with a copy of its proof that there was fraud, concealment, and all the rest of the stuff, right? But be careful. This is a situation that could lead to criminal charges, so be sure to retain an experienced attorney to represent you, even if your accountant handled that first audit. Don't go in a case like this with an accountant. You want to make sure you go with an attorney. That's just the way it's got to be, folks. How about this one? Try this on. The IRS can assess your credit report and find out about financial transactions that you might not otherwise want to share with them. Yeah, that's true. Here's the thing. Suppose, for example, that your credit report reflects that you borrowed money to purchase an expensive car or boat, and suppose the IRS finds this out. Its next step could easily be to contact your bank and obtain a copy of your credit application. If it does that, you got a problem. If the credit application reflects assets or sources of income that you are trying to hide from the IRS, guess what? It just found them. And what if you overstated your assets on the credit application? Well, while this is not a tax crime, it is a crime under federal law. It's a lose-lose. You can't lose to the bank. You can't lie to the bank, and you can't lie to the IRS. It's big trouble, folks. It's always going to be that way. Let me give you one last one before we go on our break. What happens to people who are sentenced to jail for a tax crime? You ever wonder? Well, In most cases, they are designated. That's the Bureau of Prisons lingo, meaning that where an individual is actually going to be sent to a camp, usually. Now, a camp is a federal prison facility, but there are no gun towers, barbed wire, or jail cells. The other inmates in the camp are likely to be white-collar criminals and low-level drug dealers. It's a dormitory-style setting with a relatively small risk for physical assault. Of course, the experience is boring and the time drags on slowly, and you know what? You're still not free. So don't think of it as a country club, because it's not that. But that's where Martha Stewart went when she was incarcerated. That's where Wesley Snipes went when he was incarcerated. I'm pretty sure they weren't in the same section. Now, do not go away. When we come back, we're going to be with my good friend, my good buddy, Sean LaFave in his Geared for Wellness Corner. But we're going to be talking about politics today. At least that's what he told me we were going to be talking about.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. Nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 3:33 p.m. Pacific time. Currently 83 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. That's on its way down to 51 degrees. I keep saying it's winter. 83 degrees, that's the beautiful winter. But you know what? My good buddy Sean LaFave is waiting in the wings, and he's out there in Laguna Beach, California, where it's 76 degrees and clear. He's probably got a cocktail in his hand. He knows we're going to be talking about politics. The cocktail just sort of gives him more guts to talk about what he wants to talk about. Before we do that, let's give him a proper introduction and let's get him in here.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, coming to you from his personal meditation lounge in Orange County, California, a professional dedicated to conquering many chronic conditions from autism to weight loss and everything in between. The nationally recognized wellness coach, consultant, and lecturer, Sean LaFave, in his Geared for Wellness Corner.
Hey, Sean, welcome aboard, my friend. It's good to have you here. I look forward, I don't know what it is lately. We've had the privilege of having you on some extra time and for some full segment shows, and it's just been a joy for me. I love it when you and I can have a dialogue back and forth, whether we agree or not.
Well, it's a privilege for me. So that goes both ways. I love when we do these hour segments. It still goes by too fast, but it's at least it's, I don't know how you say it. It's a longer fast.
Isn't it amazing how fast fast an hour goes by? It's amazing.
It is.
So listen, I think I know why the song says April in Paris and not November in Paris, because, I never thought I'd see the day that I'd be saying I'm glad I'm not in Paris right now.
Yeah, boy, I'll tell you what, and this whole thing, there's a lot of aspects about this that I think people aren't talking about, and maybe they don't need to be talked about. Maybe it's just understood. But when this happened, of course, I was shocked, like everyone else, and I wish I could say that it just tore my heart apart, because it really should, especially since I have a French heritage. But this is such commonplace in the world. We lose our minds because it's France and we love France and all this other stuff, but it happens in the Middle East all the time. And I wish it would. I think we as a culture are getting desensitized, and I know that it doesn't bother me as much as it should. It breaks my heart. It's terrible. I think it's a horrible thing, but the stronger word than, go ahead.
Yeah, the human part of you is compassionate, and you feel bad about all these innocent people who've had their lives taken away or who've been hurt and maimed by these thugs, these barbarian animals. But I understand what you're saying, because I think we're seeing so much of this, this barbarism and this terrorism that takes place all over the world, that we're becoming callous to it. Like you said, and I think that's a shame, because doesn't that sort of indicate that we're losing just a little bit of our humanity?
And that's exactly what it is. We are losing a little bit of our humanity. That something like this can happen, and we go, "This is horrible. It's terrible. I feel just absolutely horrible for the people over there." But I don't watch it and go, "Oh my gosh, this is terrible. How could something like this happen?" Well, we know how something like this can happen, and it's obvious, and it doesn't really shocked me so much that I go, "Oh my gosh, I'm so surprised! I can't believe this happened." But because it does happen, and it happens too frequently. It just doesn't happen in Europe or in the United States. Of course, we had 9/11 was even more horrific. And
10 times.
That one I think people really did stop and go, "Wow, how did this happen?"
Yeah.
That struck us all to our core. But I think what's interesting. I was really giving this a lot of thought, and of course everybody's jumping on their own bandwagon about the Syrian refugees or gun control, or the fact that AK-47s are illegal in France. But what this took me back to was back to the day about 12 years ago. Back in, I think it was 2003, maybe it was after. I know it was after 9/11. Of course, it was when we were going to attack Iraq, and the world was kind of on our side for the most part. Americans were definitely, let's go beat these guys back into the Stone Age, but France strongly opposed us going into Iraq and going to war there. And so the Americans, we all got all snooty about it. And, we started eating freedom fries instead of French fries, and freedom toast instead of French toast. And this one really boggled my mind. Even back then, I went, "What are you idiots doing? You're taking expensive French wine that they've already purchased, so France has already gotten the financial benefit from it, and they're pouring it down the drain." And I'm going, "This is a really good bottle of wine. Why would you do that?"
And you know what? And it was all, Sean, and I don't know where you're going with this, but it was all politics. It was all about politics. It was because the government relied on Iraq's oil for their heating and their infrastructure, and that's what that was all about.
That's exactly what that was about.
They couldn't get cut off from the oil. Let me take you in kind of a different direction, because all of a sudden now, France has been hit, and it's not the first time they've been hit. Matter of fact, if you ever had the honor and the privilege to visit France, especially Paris, which 75% of their tax money goes to Paris, that's their premier city. And so what winds up, Yeah, and it's a beautiful, beautiful place. One of the things that you notice as you're walking around Paris is you recognize right away that Paris is an absolute target, and the reason you know it is they have military or police, whatever it is, in groups, in couples, twos and threes, with automatic weapons hung over their arms on every street corner, and it's there as a safety for protection. You got to know that maybe, just maybe, if they've got guys with guns on every corner, maybe you're not as safe as you'd like to be.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
So let me take you in kind of a different direction, because I was just thinking about this, and I wanted to get your thoughts on it. We're going to come back to it because we'll use Paris as sort of a spider kind of thing as a focal point. Because of what happened in Paris, and because of the refugees coming in from Syria and all the things that are going on, and because now the United States is paranoid and they're worried about the terrorists infiltrating some of these refugees coming into the United States and not knowing who they are. They today passed a law making it more difficult with more stringent vetting for these people to get here, and they have to go through jump a lot of hoops. It was taking about 24 to 30 months for them to get through the vetting to come here anyway. Now it's going to take over 3 years for them to be able to get to the United States. And I was just thinking to myself, what happened to the country that was compassionate? Whatever happened to the bring me your homeless, you're free, you're yearning to the DOS Tempest. I got it all screwed up, but you know what I'm trying to say from the
I know
the inscription from the Liberty of the Statue of Liberty. But here's the thing: even if that were the case, so why not do it very much like you did in when you were bringing refugees, or not refugees, in before when we declared war against Japan, and the first thing that Roosevelt did, he didn't know who was with us and who was against us, right? So
right.
And I'm talking, and so why not just go ahead and round up all these refugees, and instead of putting them into cities, put them into a camp, keep them safe, feed them, clothe them, give them medical care, take care of them. You're not taking anything away from them, and you're creating security for them until we get this mess resolved. We could do that. Why are we having to say to these people that your 6-year-old child might be a terrorist, or your 3-year-old child might be a terrorist, or this 23-year-old woman might be a terrorist? And when I look at the films, I don't know about you, when I look at the films of these terrorists going across the Syrian border, I'm seeing mostly men. I'm not seeing a lot of women and children.
Yeah, and that's I think that's one. The camp idea. It would actually probably be the more humane of the two options. Making them wait 2 or 3 years, or just let them in now, but put them in a camp where they're restricted.
Yeah.
But the left is going to look at that and go, oh, you're just basically putting these people in prison now, and you're treating them like it's Auschwitz. I can just see where they go with this. It would be horrible. Like, it would be the most humane thing ever done. Even though we're really trying to give them security, but also keep ourselves protected.
Yeah.
But there's this whole thing about the women and the children. I mean, even Obama made the comment. That's he was kind of really trying to throw a jab at the GOP.
Yeah.
About their stance with.
But you know what? It wasn't. But Sean, it wasn't just the GOP, because when you look at the vote that took place today in Congress, there were Democrats that went with the GOP to pass this bill, and they had more than enough vote. They have more than enough votes to override a presidential veto. Of course, it's got to go through the Senate and then come back again, and it'll still get vetoed and come back for an override. But it was a bipartisan bill. It wasn't just the GOP.
Yeah, but I'm talking about before the Paris attack.
Oh, yes.
Before the Paris attack, Obama still was making comments about, hey, we've got these refugees, these poor widows, and sure enough, there was a woman with a bomb strapped to her in Paris. And you're going, and that's why you're going, what happened to our compassion? Our compassion died when young teenagers and who they would call kids, and women start strapping bombs on themselves. I mean, we it's like we don't learn. Look what happened in Vietnam. The women were fighting. They were killing. They would walk up and blow up American soldiers, or walk up and shoot them. You just don't know who to trust, and I think that's the problem. It's not that we don't have compassion. I think we're still full of compassion, but we're not going to open ourselves up to to a terrorist.
That's why I like the camp thing. I'm just saying to myself, first of all, we're not talking about that many people. And if they can't come over for 3 years because of the vetting process anyway, where do you think they're staying, for Pete's sake? They're in tents someplace. So why not bring them on over here, put them in a nice camp, make sure that they've got hot and cold running water and food and medical care, and that they're taken care of, and clothes, and they can do their vetting process from there. Just don't let them out so they can hurt the rest of America.
Yeah, and why is it our responsibility? I mean, I don't want to get like into a racial debate.
Well, yeah, but we're taking a minuscule.
Why is the Middle East doesn't even want these people?
Well, that's true.
They don't even want their own people. They're like, no, we don't want them either.
Well, I understand. Hey, hang on. Take a breath. Take a breath. Here's the thing. You know what? And I understand what you're saying. And Europe is taking millions of these people. We're talking about taking 10 or 20,000 of them. So it's not our responsibility. The responsibility that I question is, why is it our responsibility to fight for their right to in their country to have a free government? You know, they won't fight for themselves. That's the kind of problem I have there. The refugees trying to get out of there to save their lives and the lives of their family, I don't really have an issue with that.
No, and I agree with you. They should stand up and fight for their own country, but instead they want to leave. And like you said, there's not a lot of widows and orphans. You know, I hate the whole widow and orphan thing, because they act like, you know, that there's 500,000 women and children waiting. It's not. There's a whole lot more men. Yeah. So it's really not even, you know, the whole widow and orphan is just like they're trying to pull it, you know, to tug at your heartstrings and make you be compassionate
and speaking about heartstrings, that's sort of how these commercials affect me. We have got to go for a commercial break. We'll be right back with my good buddy Sean LaFave for another segment of Geared for I guess it is geared for wellness, your own well-being, your own mental stability. If you want to.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live, and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses: website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful in visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make The Interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're talking to my good buddy Sean LaFave, and you know what? We're just talking politics a little bit. You know what, Sean? I was wondering. We're talking about ISIS, and we're talking about where they get their money. You may or may not be aware of this. I'm sure you probably are. That they get about $40 million a month, somewhere around $1.2 million a day, just from the production of oil that they're taking out of the land that they've taken over, with regard to Syria and Iraq and what's going on there. It just seems to me we're fighting so hard for all of these cities, and I understand why, but why didn't we start with the oil fields first? If we take the oil fields, we take away their revenue. If we take away their revenue, they can't feed the soldiers who are shooting the guns that the Iraqis we gave the military weapons to gave back to them when the first shots were fired.
That sounds, I should cut off the tap. Exactly. Yeah. Stop the flow of money. And by doing that, you gotta control the oil fields. Absolutely. You control the money, you control everything. That's simple. And I don't know. That's a fantastic idea. I'd never even thought of that.
So I wonder why we don't do that. I mean, how hard would it be for us to take over the oil fields?
I can't imagine that would be too tough, because it's got to be pretty hard to protect something like that. And once you've got control of it, we've got the air forces to be able to protect it as well as the ground forces.
Well, not only that, think about this.
It wouldn't be that tough.
If they say the difficulty in beating ISIS is because we don't have boots on the ground, right? And because you got to go door to door, because these guys infiltrate, they get into, they put headquarters in hospitals and children's homes and all these kinds of things. Well, the one place ISIS can't hide is at the oil field. So I don't understand why we didn't just start there.
That makes awesome sense, and I don't even know how to respond to that other than it's just what a great idea. You need to go run for president. Maybe you could beat Trump.
Well, you know what?
You could certainly beat Hillary. I'd vote for Hillary any day.
So you know what? And I'm actually a Trump advocate. I just feel like there's a man that knows how to be tough. He's been successful in hundreds of businesses. Does he have the experience to be president? Well, maybe he hasn't been to the United States, but he has been the CEO of a lot of companies. And you know what? I don't think he's going to take any bull from anybody. I do think that there's a learning curve when you get to Washington, D.C. Congress isn't necessarily going to do what you want. On the other hand, he has been the purse strings to an awful lot of congressional candidates, right?
Absolutely.
So he's got to do is take him into the back room and say, that $200,000 I gave you last year, or that $100,000 I gave you last year. Well, it's time for a little bit of payback. And not only that, do you know that you'll never get another penny if you don't get it straightened out here? Let's get this country running right.
And that's one of the things that I like about him so much, is that he can easily put himself in a position of power, and he can't be bought. I mean, how do you buy a guy that's worth $8 billion? You can't.
Oh yeah, think about this. Think about the position he's in. You know what? Here's a way to relate to it. You actually rub elbows and socialize with people that are just very much like you, that have the same likes and dislikes and the same things in common, right? Well, that's what Donald Trump does. So who does he rub elbows with? The Koch brothers, the Edelsons, the billionaires of the world, right? And that's who he's rubbing elbows with. They who hold the purse strings control the country. It's the old golden rule, right? He who has the gold makes the rules.
Makes the rules. That's right. It's just like we were talking about with the oil. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So it just seems to me, I'm tired of business as usual. I'm tired of the cliche they say, if you keep doing the same thing and expect a different result, then there's something demented about you, right? Well, if we keep putting the same idiots into Washington, D.C. that are obstructionists and they do nothing, I don't care if they're Republicans or Democrats or independents, purple people eater, I don't care what they are, but if they can't find some common ground and move forward with that and then move on to the next thing, then we've got the wrong people in Washington, D.C. And right now, I don't like the idea that I don't feel safe for my family.
And I agree, and I think that's the whole, going back to, we were talking about France and everything, and that's the thing that I think that bothers people about Obama. I don't think anybody is really, I'm sure he fudges the numbers about the economy and about unemployment and GDP and all that, and then they all do, and that's fine, and I don't think that's really a big issue, but the big issue is exactly that. It's we don't feel safe. We don't feel secure. We feel like we have a president who is literally the day, I think it was the day of, it was maybe the day before, but I think it was the day of the Paris attacks, just within 24 hours before they happened, he on TV said, "We have ISIS contained." Yeah. And all of a sudden, bam, it's like, okay, that's your attitude. That's the people you call the JV team.
You know what the wrong attitude is? The wrong attitude is you know what? You said you were going to end 2 wars, and you're going to do it whether it's good for our country or not, whether it's good for our security or not. The truth is, you know what? You need to admit you made a doggone mistake, and let's go in there and clean house. And that's exactly what Donald Trump, that's exactly what Ted Cruz, that's exactly what most of the nonconformist candidates would do. They'd go in there and clean house. Yep. With the exception of one guy, Ben Carson. I don't think he knows where the house is at.
Yeah, Ben Carson, I liked him initially, and then the more he talked, the more I went, no, I'm too crazy about this guy.
Yeah, I think he's a half bubble law. He's a can short of a 6-pack.
Yeah, he is, and I think he's one of these guys that will be easily bought by pharmaceutical companies, by big corporations. I could see him being a complete sellout, and I hate to say it that way, but yeah, I liked Ben Carson when I first started listening to him, but the more he talks, the more I go, no, not my kind of guy.
You know what? A lot of what he says makes sense to me. I mean, I liked him too, but you know what? While I will recognize the fact that the man was a genius and a phenomenal pediatric neurosurgeon, that doesn't mean that he would make a good president. I just don't think he would. Now, having said that, you're not going to believe this, but it's time for another commercial. We will be this drives me crazy. We'll be right back with Sean LaFave in the Geared for Wellness Corner. And Sean, give me a teaser that we can talk about when we come back.
Oh man, you know what? There's actually, so we'll get off of the politics, maybe a little bit of politics, but I want to talk about a woman who lost her parental rights to her children, supposedly, so we're going to talk about that. And she's fighting, and I want to show you the leverage that she's using in a very wrong way on this. But we're going to talk about that when we come back.
Sounds good. We'll be right back with Sean LaFave, and we're going to talk about, let's just call that human rights or parental rights. We'll talk about all of that right after these brief messages. Do not go away.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. Nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchase high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 4:01 p.m. Pacific time. It's still 83 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. It's still 76 degrees and clear in Laguna Beach, too, where my good buddy Sean LaFave is. Hey, Sean, you have a human interest story that you wanted to talk about. This lady that is having her, it sounded like having her parental rights taken away.
Yeah, well, sort of. So, and from a fundamental point of view, yes, but a legal standpoint, here's what's happened. So it was a lesbian couple. One of the women was artificially inseminated, and so they had a child, quote unquote, together, if you want to call it that, right? Well, of course, they never got married. Marriage was never legal until just recently, so they've never been married. And they've had a relationship for 16 years, and they split up. The woman who gave birth is saying, you don't have any legal rights to visit this child, and is refusing to let the ex-girlfriend visit the child now. And, of course, they went to court, and Alabama ruled that, you know what, if you're not married and you're not the biological parent, you legally don't have any parental rights. And, of course, she's coming out and saying, look, this is because I'm a lesbian, because I'm gay, and not, you know, it should be reconsidered because of her circumstances, of the fact that they were a lesbian couple. And I just found this absolutely fascinating, because I don't think that if this was a man and a woman who were heterosexual, that this would ever make it to mainstream news. You know, the fact that this is where our culture is going, that if it's affecting someone who is gay, lesbian, whatever the case might be, it becomes national news. In this case, and I feel bad for the woman. Don't get me wrong, but I think the case is being taken completely wrong. That you can't, you know, that they're saying that this is a serious constitutional violation. Well, it's not a constitutional violation, because the law is very clear that if you're not the biological parent and you were never married to the biological parent, that you really never had any legal parental rights anyway. And so I just kind of wanted to get your thought on that. What do you think of that? Because I feel bad for her in a kind of a human point of view, but legally she doesn't really have a leg to stand on. And I think that raising the flag of, you know, gay, lesbian rights is the wrong way to approach this. I'm sure there must be a better way to approach it.
And I agree with you. Let me tell you, because it's a difficult thing, and your heart goes out to these people. They had a relationship, everything was terrific, and then all of a sudden it changed. And you're right. If it was a heterosexual couple, this wouldn't be an issue at all. And the birth mother, I certainly see her rights, and they need to be preserved. The other member of this relationship, if she really wanted to have that commitment and when they were both together, then why didn't she just adopt that child along with the other person? And then she would have been a legal parent, and then they would have had a leg in court to stand on. But right now, I don't see that as being the case. And whether we recognized gay marriage back then or not is not the issue. The issue is they were not married, and one person had that child, and that child is entrusted to the care and the upbringing from its maternal mother. I just think it would have been different had they still been together. It would have been a mess, by the way, but then just adopt. Adopt the child. I had a good friend of mine who went through a horrible divorce and remarried a wonderful guy, and everybody loved him. And so what wound up happening is that the ex-husband, who was just a pain in the butt, and all he really wanted was money, and he didn't really have any relationship with the two girls, he took money, and my good friend actually adopted those two girls within the new marriage they had. So those two girls became his girls and his new wife's girls, and it's a kind of a similar thing. But if you're not going to legitimize your relationship, then you know what, you don't have a claim.
Are you saying that this guy gave up his biological or his parental rights, biological father? He gave up his parental rights for money?
Yep, the asshole did. Yeah, he didn't want to pay child support anymore, and so my buddy wrote him a check, and they agreed not to pay child support if he would allow him to adopt his children. So when he married. And that's exactly what happened. So, and the point I'm trying to make is, I mean, as horrible as that is, here's the point that I'm trying to make. Well, horrible on one side. I think it says a lot about my friend. But in any event, the point I'm trying to make is that even though marriage was not allowed during the time that this took place that you're describing, adoption was still legal. And had there been an adoption that way, then there would have been the parental rights and the adoption rights, and this wouldn't be an issue. Well, the problem is it would still be an issue because it would be a court issue, right? And it might even be worse for the child. I'm not so sure that it's not better off for the child right now.
Yeah. Another aspect about this that when I was reading this article that struck me as kind of ironic is the gay lesbian community will always stand up and say they're being mistreated by the heterosexual community, right?
Yeah.
This is a lesbian doing this to another lesbian. And no one seems to really pick up on that aspect of it. Like, she's being mistreated. Sure, she probably should, ethically, should she have rights to it? I think so, because she helped raise this child. But she's being mistreated by one of her own kind, a woman she was in a relationship. So when people start standing up and they say, we need gay rights, well, when the gay rights are there, they're going to be taken away from you by your own people. And you don't understand?
Yeah, but see, this is where I disagree with you. I don't see this as a lifestyle issue. That's not the way. That's not the way. Yeah, that's not the way I'm looking at it, because it wouldn't make any difference whether it was a heterosexual couple or a gay couple. What I'm looking at it is since they did not have a legal arrangement between themselves, because marriage wasn't allowed then, and there was no adoption of the child, so there was no unity involved there. This other person who did not actually was not the maternal parent of this child, that other person, in my eyes, was really nothing more than a nanny. She was there, and she could say she was anything, but legally, she had no rights. And
I agree with you. That was my point that I was actually making. Maybe I didn't do a very good job of making the point, but my point was exactly that. This is not a lifestyle issue. People want to make things like this into a lifestyle issue.
Yeah.
The very first words in the article say a lesbian mother in Alabama went on and on. And they have to make the point that it's a lesbian woman, as if the fact that she's a lesbian is why this is happening.
Yeah.
But that's not exactly what you just said. That's not why it's happening. And that was the point I was making, was this is a lesbian having a problem with another lesbian, an ex-lover in this case.
Yeah.
And so this isn't someone being mistreated because of their sexual orientation. This is just two people being ridiculous.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I just think it's fascinating, though, that our media wants to make this a mainstream news article when in fact it probably happens every day.
Well, you know what? You saying that struck a chord with me, and I don't. It'll be interesting to see how you feel about this. I have become really calloused toward the media now. When I was growing up, it was Walter Cronkite, and all these just really fantastic newsmen and women and reporters that were giving you facts and giving you the truth. And I mean, if Walter Cronkite says, "Hey," and that's the way it was, and that's the way it was. This guy,
it was.
But today, the news business is not about news. It's about ratings. It's about entertainment. They don't give you the news anymore, and so they create these bombastic events, and they make an issue where there shouldn't be one. And that's exactly what they did with this lady and the other lady that she had a relationship with, and this poor child who's in the middle. Obviously, the news media doesn't care about the child.
Exactly. Totally agree. They don't care about the child. Yeah. They don't care about the couple. All they care about is exactly what you said. It's about ratings.
Yeah.
It's about bringing in more commercials, better paying commercials. Yeah. It's about bringing in money. Absolutely.
Yeah. It just incenses me. You know what? I've said it before. I don't know if I said it to you before or not. I grew up in a much better, friendlier world than we live in today, in a safer world than we live in today, and I wish that I had the ability to have raised my children and my grandchildren and my great-grandchildren in the same kind of a world that I grew up in. I don't know if we were sheltered or if we just had a better outlook on life and morals and integrity and the law, but it was a much safer place. You could go out at night and not worry about somebody killing you. And, if you were in school and you had a problem with a guy, you met around the back and you guys got into a fight, and when the fight was over, one of you guys gave up. You just wanted the guy to give up, right? And one of you guys gave up, or you didn't give up, but you never intended to kill the guy. You just wanted to win the fight, and then you probably wound up being best friends at the end of this thing. Today, you come around the corner and you start shooting.
Right. Yeah. It's a very extreme world. It is. I think about the way, we build our cities, of course, California, Southern California especially, but really anywhere nowadays, we've created this urban sprawl where everything is really spread out, but we're also, it's not even sidewalks in most places anymore. And if you're not old enough to drive a car, or if you've reached the age where you no longer are very good at driving a car and you really shouldn't, you
take it easy on me, buddy. Take it easy on me.
You're far from that. Trust me. But there are people. I mean, look at my own mom. I mean, she's listening right now. I'm not trying to make fun of her, but she doesn't like to drive at nighttime. And she doesn't like to drive in the bad weather. There's a time in your life.
But that's good. But that's good. That means she's responsible. She knows what makes her feel uncomfortable.
Right, she's responsible, but there's no walking down to the corner coffee shop and meeting with your friends, or walking down, to the town center like people used to do. Yeah. Nobody walks anywhere. Everyone's afraid to walk anywhere. I mean, have you ever been out late? I mean, I'm talking about you because you're a young guy. You ever been out late and you're driving home and you're by yourself and you come to a stop sign at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning? It's dark. There's nothing. It's not a stop sign. It's a signal, right? And you got to stop and there's nobody around, right? But you're kind of looking around, and if a car pulls up next to you, you're kind of afraid to look over there. You sort of just kind of make your eyes glance over that way. You're feeling uneasy, right? What kind of world is that you have to feel uneasy? I remember, growing up, we used to wave at people because, especially when I lived in the country, you would wave at people. You didn't know them. They're strangers, but you would wave as you were driving by.
And,
nobody waves at anybody anymore. If you wave at somebody, look at you like, what are you doing waving? I don't know.
You know, Sean, I've got to tell you a story. When I was working for the Revlon Corporation, when I first started, and I started traveling, and I'd go to Manhattan quite often. But my very first trip to Manhattan, and I was just so excited, and I was staying in this hotel, and big, huge things. I was just like a little kid, right? And I'm coming down in the elevator, and the elevator stops, and this guy gets on the elevator, and I say, "Good morning," and he looks me right in the eye, and he says, "Do I know you?" And I thought, holy cow,
Do I know you?
Yeah, do I know you? It was a whole different world. Of course, I was born and raised in the West Coast, and it was like you said, I was born in Hanford, California, out in the middle of the country in the San Joaquin Valley. And you're absolutely right. You'd go down the street and you'd wave at people. People go by, you'd acknowledge them, right? Boy, that was my first shot at. Well, no, but you might want to know me.
Yeah, the Northeast. Oh gosh, I'm gonna offend our listeners in the Northeast. Yeah. We won't have any more by the time I'm done now. But the Northeast is very much like that. I lived in right near Boston for close to 3 years, and it's very much a culture of spheres of influence, if you will.
Yeah.
If you didn't grow up with this person, you don't work with them, you don't go to church with them, or you're not family, they really just don't want to talk to you.
Yeah. Yeah. You're an outsider.
As much as you have that experience in New York City, in Manhattan, I actually, on two separate occasions with two separate men that I had just struck up a conversation with while I was living in Boston, both guys were from New York City. They both said exactly the same thing. They said, people from Boston are really rude.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I thought, you're from New York City and you're saying this. And it's not that because we think of New Yorkers as rude, because New Yorkers will just come out and just tell you what's on their mind. Like that guy.
Oh, yeah.
A person from Boston would have just looked at you and said nothing. They literally would not have responded.
Yeah.
But a person from New York's like, they're in your face now, like, do I know you? Why are you talking to me? Where a person from Boston just won't respond. And so New Yorkers think of them as very rude. Well, they won't come out and say you screw yourself.
The other thing that happened, coming from the West Coast, and you're brought up to respect women and to hold them on a pedestal. Of course, women's lib movement did away with most of that. They hurt themselves with it. But you had this respect going on. I remember the first time I went to New York, and I'm sitting in this in the coffee shop or kind of thing, and I never heard so many F-bombs in my life. I kept looking around thinking, are you kidding me? People talk like this in a public place? I was embarrassed.
Yeah, it's a different culture. It's a very different culture. Yeah.
So I just, anyway, you know what I'm going to say right now, right?
We're going to go on a break. Right?
Yeah, we are.
and when we come back, I got one more thing to talk about. I really hadn't anything specifically prepared, but I got things that are running through my mind.
Okay.
We're going to talk about Obamacare. And
no, you got it wrong. Obama doesn't care.
He doesn't care.
If he cared, he would make sure he has the ability, he has the resources. He'd make sure that this world was a safer place.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, unfortunately, the insurance companies in the United States don't agree with him, and the largest insurance company in the nation has basically said either things are going to change or we're getting out of your system. Well,
the interesting thing about that, and we will talk about this when we come back, but let me leave you with this. The interesting thing was health insurance companies wrote the law on Obamacare. We'll talk more about this with my good buddy Sean LaFave right after these brief messages. Do not go away, or you miss out. You become the loser. We'll be right back.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful and visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make the interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay a great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 4:21 p.m. Pacific time. Currently 82 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. Actually went down a degree in Laguna Beach, too, at 75 and clear. We're talking to my good buddy, Sean LaFave. And Sean, you got the microphone, my friend. You want to talk about Obamacare or Obama doesn't care or some kind of care?
Obama scare, whatever it's called. Yeah, and I tell you what, if it wasn't for the fact that there's loud things outside on a regular basis, I would be sitting outside doing our show. It's just so it is absolutely gorgeous. It's 75 and sunny. You just can't beat that, right?
No.
It's just so funny. All my friends on Facebook are like, "Oh, we got snow and it's so cold," and I'm like, checking. Nope, no snow here yet. But, I don't love it.
Liquid sunshine. Liquid sunshine.
Some places, they don't get snow, but you can see the snow on the mountains. I can't even see the mountains are so far away. You can't even see the snow from here. But yeah, so United Health Group, that's the nation's largest health insurer, basically said, look, either things are going to change or we're pulling out of the system where they're saying, the enrollment is low. It's about a third of what it really needs to be. And the problem is, and this is something that I called when they first started doing Obamacare. And I was like, unless it was something that you could mandate that you have to force every single American to do it, this is what's going to happen. And this is exactly what happened, is that they're getting unhealthy people. People who are poor and broke and unhealthy are getting into the system. I've got one friend who I know, and she's 60 years old, and it's saving her money. And of course it's saving her money because at 60 years old, insurance is a lot more expensive than it is at 20 years old. But it's the 20-year-olds and the 30-year-olds they're going, I can't afford this. I don't make enough. I make too much money to qualify for free care, but I don't make enough that I can afford to even pay for the enrollment fees. And so people aren't getting in, but it's the really unhealthy people that are getting in, and they're saying, look, you're draining us dry. We are not going to be able to continue this type of system with the way it's going, because we're getting sick people who are very, very expensive, and they're getting very low premiums, and things are going to change. So I think it's interesting. I don't know how they couldn't see this coming. I don't know what Obama and everyone else thought was going to happen, but there are people out there who actually don't want insurance. In fact, I'm actually one of them. I've never been a big fan of health insurance, and that probably, especially as a health guy, a lot of people think I'm crazy. But at least I like the healthcare savings accounts. I think those are fantastic.
Yes,
because you get your money back. Those are, when it comes to health insurance, that is, in my opinion, the best thing that's ever happened to health insurance.
Well, I think you can be subjective about that, because there are those older people that couldn't get insurance to get insurance now at a reduced rate because the younger people are paying an increased rate so that the older people can have insurance. Then you have Medicaid for the people that can't afford insurance at all. Then you've got Medicare that's sitting out there for retirees, and unfortunately, it's the budgeting and the mechanics of it. I'm not a socialist, but I do believe that in the richest, strongest, I was going to say safest, but maybe not safest country in the world. I agree with, gosh, I can't think of his name right now. Bernie Sanders. That should be a right, not a privilege in the United States. Healthcare in every other developing or advanced nation, insurance is a given. People are going to be insured. They're not going to go bankrupt. They're not going to if they get sick, they get taken care of. In a nation like this, that same thing should happen. That happens because everybody should be paying their fair share of taxes. And that's where the problem is. We have a disparity in the tax base that causes that problem. And right now, we've got, 75%, or at least 2/3 of our entire national budget is going for Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. And then a big portion of it goes to military. The rest of it is just wasted by our government. The problem that we have is it's not being planned properly, not being used properly, and not being protected properly. But you know what? You're right. Obamacare was not the answer. I think originally when they wanted a one-payer system, they were headed in the right direction, but there was just too much controversy. And I think what happened was every president has wanted to have a healthcare system, and so they settled for an inadequate one instead of fighting to get a good one.
Right, and it goes back to what you just said. It's so much money is wasted on poor planning. This was it was shoved down the American people's throats. There was no real planning process in place. Obama just had to do something to be his legacy.
Yeah.
That he pushed it through so hard, and they even, the stupid statement of, well, we need to, vote this in before we can even, it's an unbelievable system. But
Sean, you've heard the term, the operation was a success. The patient died, but the operation was a success. Well, that's exactly what Obamacare is. His legacy is going to be preserved. His Obamacare, getting it through, he was successful in doing it. Unfortunately, the patient's going to die.
Yeah, and that's exactly what's going to happen. And you're talking about Bernie Sanders, and that it should be a right. And I actually to agree with you that
it's hard for me to say that because I'm not a Democrat.
Yeah, no, I'm not either. But I do believe that we have a right to health care, to being healthy.
Yeah.
The problem is our healthcare system sucks. Even the private sector sucks. It's horrible. I mean, we're the last in all the developed nations. We're ranked lowest for healthcare, and we spend more than any of them by far.
Oh yeah.
And it's a sad state of affairs that we're in right now. And something's got to change. But the problem is, it is. I think would be great if it was a right. The problem is, Americans are far more concerned with their rights than they are with their responsibilities. And so they say, well, it's my right to health care, so I'm going to go eat McDonald's, and I'm going to go have my ding-dongs, and on and on. And then I want the healthcare system to fix me when I destroy myself.
Well, yeah, but you know what the biggest problem? The healthcare system doesn't have to be as expensive as it is today, Sean.
No,
and I agree with you. I mean, you got to do something to take care of yourself. But here's the thing: if we had tort law reform, and if we got attorneys out of Congress, and if you want to screw something up, just let an attorney get involved in it, right? So here's the thing: if we could put a cap on those kinds of awards and things like that, and if physicians didn't have to pay $250,000 for malpractice insurance, you'd see the cost of healthcare go way down and the quality go way up. The problem that we're having now is this litigious society. We also have these lazy bums that figure, God, if he made a mistake, am I going to get into his wallet? Well, you don't get into his wallet. He's got insurance, and that's why it's going like that. So you know what? It's everybody's fault.
Exactly, and that is fundamentally why our healthcare costs are so expensive. Is these doctors, these hospitals, these clinics, they're so afraid of getting sued that if someone comes in and they've got chest pain and the doctor's looking at the guy going, you know what, it's really probably just acid indigestion, and give him an acid, an antacid and sending him home is what they used to do. But in that 2% chance, 1 to 2% chance that maybe it was an actual heart problem, now anybody who comes in and says my chest hurts, they've got to run a battery of exams on them.
Yeah.
So what used to be a $200 visit and a bottle of antacids is now turned into a $3,700 visit and a bunch of blood tests.
Or more.
Yeah. That's fundamentally, you're right. Is these doctors are so afraid of getting sued, and the hospitals as well, that they have now basically turned you into a lab test every time you come into the doctor's office, because they want to make sure they cover their butts.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You and I really agree on this. And the thing is that, you know what, if you get a hold of a doctor that has got his head stuck in the sand and he's guilty of malpractice, fine, take his license to practice away from him. Make him be a nurse, make him be a ditch digger, make him be a plumber. I don't care what you make him be, but don't let him practice medicine anymore. That should straighten itself out.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that's one area, for some reason, I don't know why it is, that's one area, the free market just doesn't seem to take care of itself. When someone's a horrible mechanic or, horrible plumber, eventually they're just going to kind of go by the wayside, because you live on referrals, and if you suck at something, nobody's gonna want your business. Nobody's gonna refer their friends to you.
Yeah, they don't call you.
In the medical world, it's such a different world, because everything is done through the insurance companies. You go see this doctor. I think I was having a conversation with Sally. Her doctor that she grew up with is basically being told that he needs to retire, not because he's too old or anything like that, but because he's really not bringing in enough revenue. That he's not putting these people through these tests. What he's doing is he's caring for the patient instead of caring for the dollar bill and caring for the insurance companies and the clinic where he works. And he's basically being pushed out the door because of it. And she says he's the best doctor that their family has ever had. And they're just really sad, this doctor's been with him for years, and he always does the right thing. He's never made a mistake. He's never screwed anything up. But he's being gone because of the dollar bill.
Yeah, he's being penalized for practicing quality medicine.
Yeah, exactly.
It just seems to me it's so unfair. Unfortunately, you've got the medical society polices itself, so they protect the guys that are making mistakes, which is a mistake. If they're going to do that, what they need to do is to take the licensing away from the guys that aren't practicing quality medicine. That would help. And then the insurance companies are, they're charging us through the roof, and you'd blame the insurance companies. Remember that they are for-profit companies, but they wouldn't have to do that if they weren't having to pay off all of these lawsuits and all of these other things that are going on and these astronomical medical fees. It's sort of like a catch-22, right? If we could get all of these things, the tort reform and litigation down, everything would come down.
Yeah, when I was living in Colorado, I went to the University of Colorado, and there was a doctor in Denver. I can't remember which hospital it was out there, but he he was the anesthesiologist. And of course, they got to monitor the machine and, make sure that, you have enough of the right amount of, whatever the drug is that they put in your body that keeps you asleep.
Mm-hmm.
And the machine monitors heart rate and all these things. They've got to tweak things. Well, he fell asleep and the patient died.
Wait, the anesthesiologist fell asleep?
Yeah, the anesthesiologist fell asleep during surgery, and apparently either no one noticed or no one cared, and it caused the patient to get, I guess, too much of the drug, and the patient dies. And through the course of the investigation, and of course he said no, I wasn't sleeping. I was just monitoring the beeps and the tones of the machine with my eyes closed. And but what they found was that several doctors had reported previously that on, I think it was 3 or 4 occasions, he had fallen asleep during surgery and had to be woken up. And that's what's wrong with that's another part. That's not what's wrong. It's one of the things that's wrong with our healthcare system is just like you're saying. And I don't think he even lost his license when that patient died, because unless they can prove that it was malevolent, I don't think you can take a license away from making a mistake, because doctors make mistakes all the time.
Well, yeah, that's why they call it practice.
Yeah, that's why they call it practice. So, but this guy is falling asleep, and finally someone dies because of it. And still, even though he had a history of falling asleep, they still aren't going to take his license away. I think he got transferred to another hospital so that way, he didn't have his tainted name.
And now you hit the nail on the head, and that's exactly the problem. I mean, if you think about an anesthesiologist, that's probably the most important doctor in the operating room, because when they're going to operate on you, what they do is they paralyze you. Your voluntary and involuntary muscles, they paralyze you. So that anesthesiologist is not only keeping you asleep and he's keeping you paralyzed, but he's keeping you breathing and keeping your heart pumping, and it's all being done artificially. If he goes to sleep and gets good night Charlie, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly what happened to this woman. He killed her because he didn't monitor the flow of the medication going to the patient. And so, yeah, and that's just one example. Just one that it came out of the top of my head, but there are literally, we know that over 100,000 people die every year from prescription medications, even properly prescribed medications,
Yeah.
And that doesn't include people who die on the surgery table, people who die from misdiagnosis. There's a whole lot of other things. The number, these are CDC numbers that are staggering. It's like 750,000 people die in the United States every year from medical mistakes. It's huge.
Yeah.
And like you said, why are we not taking licenses away from people who are responsible for this? Now, granted, yeah, people make mistakes. Maybe you're in surgery, it's a delicate surgery, an artery gets cut, and the person bleeds out, maybe they can't stop it. I mean, I can see that happening, and it sucks. But it happens too often, and it's I don't know.
It's an accident.
Obamacare is not the answer, unfortunately. Obamacare is just going to make the system worse.
So listen, I want you to take the next 30 seconds to thank your mother for listening to us for an entire hour.
Mom, it takes me 30 seconds to say thank you. That's a long thank you.
Well, you know what?
I'm going to spend 25 seconds complaining about the fact that you told me to say thank you for 30 seconds, and then I'm going to spend 5 seconds giving an actual real thank you. But, absolutely. I always tell my mom afterwards, she always told me it was a great show. I think that really, it doesn't matter what we talk about. She's going to tell me it was a great show. But Mom, thanks for listening for a full hour, because I don't know that anybody really wants to listen to us for a full hour. But
hey.
She enjoys the show.
Not only should she be listening to us for a full hour, she should be listening to us for a full 2 hours, and she should be telling all of her friends and neighbors to listen to us, and she ought to get our what do you call that thing? Our app, to make it easier for her.
Exactly. I think she likes doing it on the computer instead of the phone.
Okay, but the app would still work for the computer. That's true. Yeah, you can put Anyway, my friend, fantastic show. Thank you so much. You have a wonderful weekend. I look forward to talking to you next Tuesday. Man, I got to tell you what, we got to think about maybe making this a regular deal.
I like it. I like it a lot.
All right, Sean. Have a wonderful, safe weekend. Make everybody happy. Make yourself happy, and you know what? Make everybody's life better because you're in it.
Absolutely. Same to you, Robert. Thanks again. I had a great time. This was a fun show.
All right. Take care. Now, don't go away. When we come back, we're going to be talking about today's birthdays, the secret daily teachings for your life, the Harvard business tip of the day, and interesting but useless facts. Right after these brief messages. Don't go away.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. Nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. Boy, if you missed the last hour with me and Sean LaFave, you missed a fantastic segment. So, you know what? If you would like to hear it, get my app. If you have an Apple product, just go to the Apple Store, search Robert Cardoza Live just Robert Cardoza Live. It'll come up. It's a free app. You can download it to your phone and listen to us 24/7. You can listen if we're live. You'll hear it live, or you can hear the archive, any show you want to have there, and you can even chat with us during the show if you want to do that. And if you are on a desktop computer or a laptop computer, or maybe you're on an Android product or a Windows product, you can go to googleplay.com and do the same search, Robert Cardoza Live, and just download that free app, and you get the same benefits. You'll be glad that you did that. Now, right now, I want you to know that at 4:42 p.m. Pacific Time, currently 82 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire, in sunny Southern California. Well, I want to give you the Harvard Business Tip of the Day, and the management tip today is know how to manage and motivate independent contractors. Every business has got to deal with them. Managers want to do right by their people, but the expectations are different when you're managing contractors. How do you motivate and engage people who aren't full employees? Well, it's not so bad. Understand what they want. Ask your contractors why they're interested in working for your company. Knowing what they're hoping for in the assignment will help you understand them. And set expectations. Be clear about what you want from them, including deadlines for their deliverables. and build a relationship. Talk to them about their family, their interests, and other projects that they're working on, and make them feel part of the team. Invite them to important meetings. Bring them into water cooler conversations and add them to the team email list. And then finally, give feedback. There's no need to do a formal review, but telling them what you think of their work will improve performance in your working relationship with them. Just know that if they're an independent contractor or an employee, treat them the same. Give them respect and give them courtesy. That is the secret to how you have a successful business and a successful relationship. Well, let's talk about the secret daily teaching for your life. This is all about a positive mental attitude. You truly control every day of your life, whether you're happy, you're sad, you're successful, or you're a failure. It's really up to you and your own positive mental attitude. And the secret for today, the great teacher Neville Goddard offered the following process in 1954 in a lecture entitled The Pruning Shears of Revision. Every day before you go to sleep, think through the events of the day. If any events or moments did not go the way you wanted, replay them in your mind in a way that thrills you. As you recreate those events in your mind exactly as you want, you are cleaning up your frequency from the day, and you are emitting a new signal and frequency for tomorrow. You have intentionally created new pictures for your future. It is never too late to change the pictures. Say the same thing about a golfer, A golfer, if he wants to hit a good shot, he's got to picture it in his mind before he takes that swing. That's exactly what winds up happening. Now, what is today? Well, today is somebody's birthday. It's November the 19th. Oh, yeah, we've got some good ones for today. Here's a fella that was born in 1933, a television and radio host. Man, was he fantastic. He's now retired. Happy birthday, Larry King. And here's a guy that most of us will know. He's born in 1938, a media mogul and philanthropist, founder of CNN. Happy birthday, Ted Turner. Well, here's somebody that most women liked. He was born in 1942, a clothing designer. In 1968, Calvin Klein founded Calvin Klein Limited. Happy birthday, Calvin. And here's a gal that is just phenomenal. Born in 1962, an actress, had her first significant role. It came in 1976 in the film Taxi Driver. You know who she is? Yeah. Happy birthday, Jodie Foster. Well, what happened today in history? I can tell you. On November the 19th, 1946, Afghanistan, Iceland, and Sweden joined the United Nations. And in 1969, football player Pele scores his 1,000th goal. And in 1977, Egyptian President Anwar Sadat becomes the first Arab leader to officially visit Israel when he meets Israeli Prime Minister Menachem Begin and speaks before the Knesset in Jerusalem seeking a permanent peace settlement. Wow. You know what? To have been alive through all these times, isn't that something? And you know what? The quote for today comes from a lady that us older folks remember, Marlene Dietrich. And her quote is, "Once a woman has forgiven her man, she must not reheat his sins for breakfast." Think about it. That's a wise woman, guys. Absolutely. Well, it's time for those interesting but useless facts. Let's start off with Damascus. Syria is the oldest continuously inhabited city in the world. Civilization can be traced as far back as 2000 BC. And think of the trouble. They haven't learned anything, have they? Well, the volume of water in the Amazon River is greater than the next 8 largest rivers in the world combined. Isn't that something? Yeah. Well, here's one. Watermelon, considered one of America's favorite fruits, is really a vegetable. Yeah, cousin to the cucumber and kin to the gourd, watermelons can range in size from 7 to 100 pounds. Give that some thought. And let me leave you with this. Australia's box jellyfish has toxins more potent than the venom in cobras and is one of the most dangerous jellyfish in the world. Now, do not go away, because when we come back, I'm going to answer your emails. The first one's from Jaden Nallo from Ames, Iowa, asking about an adjusted home sales price. I'll tell you all about that right after these brief messages. Do not go away.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful and visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make The Interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay a great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. Well, we're coming down to the wire, and it's time for us to do the answer the emails for you. And I just want to remind you, this is an entertainment part of the show. Sometimes the information you send us is just a little bit sketchy, so we always encourage you to talk to a licensed professional before you do anything. You know, they're going to make it right for you, and they're responsible for the answer they give you. I also want you to know that at 4:52 p.m. Pacific time, it's still 8 82 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. Well, let's get right to it. My first email comes from Jaden Allo from Ames, Iowa, asking about an adjusted home sale price and says, before closing on the purchase of a home, we found some defects that the seller promised to make good. Now, rather than delay the sale to fix them or change the sales price, he sent me a check for $7,000 after the sale. Is this taxable to me? Well, Jaden, the payment to you is an adjustment to the sales price, so it's not taxable to you, but reduces your cost basis in the home. That's its cost to you for tax purposes when computing gain or loss on its future sale. Now, any amounts that you then spend to improve the home by fixing the defects will increase your basis in the home. Here's an example. If you bought the home for, let's just say, $200,000, the $7,000 payment that you received reduces your basis or cost in it to $193,000. That's the $200,000 minus the 7, right? Now, if you spend $6,500 of the $7,000 on fixing the defects, your cost basis in it will increase to $199,500. You're adding back in, right? So keep records documenting what actually occurred. That'll keep you safe and out of the crosshairs from the IRS. Next email comes from Jonah Avina from Torrington, Connecticut, asking about a reasonable salary and says, can I avoid paying myself the reasonable salary that corporations must pay their owners if I set my business up as a partnership? Well, Jonah, it's not the owners of a corporation who must take a reasonable salary, but it's owner employees, those who work for it besides owning it. Now, the owners of a private corporation are likely to work for it, but any who don't will receive only dividends and not salaries. Partnerships, they're a little bit different. Partners don't receive salaries even if they work for the business. They receive draws, which can be set at zero. General partners are subject to self-employment tax, which is the equivalent of Social Security and Medicare for self-employed individuals, regardless of whether they participate in the business activity or not. Hope that helps you. Next email comes from Nate Bisharat from Downey, California, asking about an inheritance from abroad and says, my wife expects to receive a large inheritance from a relative in a foreign country. Does the IRS have any special tax rules that apply to inheritances from abroad? That's a great question, Nate. And you know what? An inheritance received from abroad is tax-free to the recipient, just as any other inheritance. However, reporting requirements apply to certain bequests, gifts, and trust distributions from abroad. Now, your wife may be required to file a Form 3520. That's an annual return to report transactions with foreign trusts and receipt of certain foreign gifts. Or Form 3520A, the annual information return of foreign trust with a U.S. owner. Now, here's the thing. Penalties for failing to do this can be really steep, and criminal penalties may even apply. So check with a tax professional before you do anything there. You'll be trust me, really glad you did. My last email today comes from Allison Bradbard from Sheridan, Colorado, asking about an IRA contribution and says, if I retire at the end of the year, will I be able to make a deductible IRA contribution for this year? And the answer to the question, next year. And the answer is yes. The IRA contribution limit increases to $5,000 and $6,000 for people that are 50 years old and older for both traditional and Roth IRAs. Now, this is $1,000 more than it used to be. Having earned income in 2016 can enable you to contribute as much as that limit or the amount that you actually earn, whichever is less, to an IRA. If you earn income only in January, you're unlikely to reach any of the income limits that restrict high earners from making IRA contributions, but check the details and other eligibility requirements in IRS Publication 590. That's Individual Retirement Arrangements and IRAs. Now, that's what you really want to be doing. Now, I want to thank you for listening to Robert Cardoza Live at the intersection of business and politics. Robert Cardoza Live broadcasts on Spreaker Radio, Roar, 1776 Radio, MyCast Live Radio, and countless terrestrial stations worldwide. Every Monday through Friday from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Pacific Time, and we're on 405 Media Radio every Monday through Friday from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. Pacific Time. Also, the Pundit Press, PNN Talk Radio, and SHR Media Radio with John Matthews and the Conservative Syndicate on Mondays and Fridays from 3:30 p.m. to 4 p.m. Pacific Time. Please follow me on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Google+, Podomatic, and YouTube, where you can listen to all of my shows 24/7. Go to my website at www.robertcardozalive.com and email me at robertcardozalive@gmail.com, where I get all the emails that I deal with here on the show. On my next show, it's a simulcast with John Matthews and Joe Hakos with the Conservative Syndicate, and then David Garrett will present Garrett on the Law. I encourage you to tell all of your friends about my show here on the RLC Broadcasting Network.
That's our show for today. Beginning today, treat everyone you meet as if they were going to be dead by midnight. Extend them all the care, kindness, and understanding that you can muster. Your life will never be the same again. So many of our dreams at first seem impossible, then they seem improbable, and then when we summon the will, they soon become inevitable. You know, the real secret of happiness is to make others believe that they're the cause of it. Robert Cardoza Live is brought to you by blogtalkradio.com every Monday through Friday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Now, go out and make it a great day. Your host has been Robert Cardoza, the technical advisor, Matchstick Digital, and your executive producer, also Robert Cardoza.
Okay, everybody, I hope you enjoyed today's show as much as I enjoyed producing it for you. Don't forget to join me again tomorrow at 3 p.m. Pacific Time for another installment of Robert Cardoza Live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. Don't forget, go out there and get our free app. You can get it from the Apple Store by searching Robert Cardoza Live, or you can get it from GooglePlay.com. Also, Robert Cardoza Live. That way it covers either Windows, Android, and Apple stores, and it's absolutely free. It's the best way to listen to our show. In the meantime, I want you to stay happy. I want you to stay safe, and I want you to make everybody's life better because you're in it. And other than that, until tomorrow, good night, everybody.